back again to talk about House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, A World of Ice and Fire, whatever you want to call it. I'm here to talk about my favorite mysteries, part one, probably, because there's a lot of them. Now, I just like to say, even though we all love House of the Dragon, right, I'm going to be pulling from the entire world of Ice and Fire, you know, the Game of Thrones series, all of that. So if you're a stickler for that sort of thing, you're going to want to move along. Sorry. So first up, we have Larys Strong as a skin changer, a warg, a green seer, something. Now, this one is a spicy take. People detest when you bring up this theory because, you know, there's really not any evidence for it. People tend to go tinfoil hat really easily in the world of Ice and Fire to begin with, and I think the fandom's just kind of like done with all these like off-the-wall theories that are just pulling anything that could possibly be possible and attaching them to characters. But it's an interesting thematic element, and I don't think it being true or false is even really the point. It speaks to the intriguing, dynamic, nuanced world that George R.R. Martin has created and why it, like, engrosses us so much. It's crazy and incredible that he's doing it at all. Like, the things that he manages to accomplish in this series, as well as, you know, the mystery of why, is just, it's fascinating, right? I think this question especially is interesting when juxtaposed with the character of Helena, who we're pretty certain has prophetic dreams. Like, canonically, like, we know that there's something magical about that girl, other than just the fact that she lights up her room. All in all, I personally actually just think that the rat themes are just thematic. I think it's just imagery, both in the show and in the books, but it's really interesting to think about, and I think it's important that the ambiguity is, like, acknowledged and preserved, because, yeah, it could be. I mean, yeah, you could say that about literally any off-the-wall theory in a world of Ice and Fire, I guess, but isn't that half the fun? Like, moving on. I don't want to get too into his cruelties here because we'll be here all day, but one great example is his construction of the Red Keep. During the Red Keep's construction, Maegor had the builders basically build secret passageways and little tunnels all throughout the construction that only he and the builders would know about. As you can probably tell by my wording, Maegor wasn't a huge fan of sharing secrets with those guys, so he threw a huge banquet, a huge party for all of the laborers, and then killed them. Every last one. Funnily enough, it was really hard for him to find laborers for future construction projects. I wonder why. While Maegor the Cruel had no dearth of enemies, his manner of death was pretty unusual in that it seemed like there could be no one else involved. Maegor was found with his wrists slashed up the arm and a sword going through the back of his neck through his throat. Last two people to exit the throne room before his death saw him alive, and then he was watched over by two Kingsguards. Some speculate that he might have done it himself out of despair, but I don't believe this. Like, he was beheading people, loyal lords, hours before his death. And he was beheading them for suggesting that he might seek peace arrangements. So he was a fighter, okay? He was fighting till the end. Some speculate that it was Maegor's very passages, the secret ones he himself designed, that were his undoing, and someone snuck into the throne room and pushed him onto the swords. Others suggest that the Kingsguards maybe worked in tandem, or one turned a blind eye because they were well accustomed to Maegor's cruelty and knew that the realm would be better off without him. Personally, I do think his Kingsguard just came in and pushed him down onto the throne. That chair is jagged. Last mystery I want to talk about is the Isle of Faces. I'm here in the Riverlands. That's the Isle of Faces. The original series, A Game of Thrones, the TV series, yeah, I get it, nerds. Bran mentions that that's where the Green Men live. It's said that that's where the Green Men keep their silent watch over Westeros. We only know of one person to have visited the island, the Crenogmen we hear of in Bran's POV. Otherwise, visitors are turned away by gusts of wind or flocks of ravens. See, Harrenhal is right here. So even though I don't think it's going to be like super relevant in the series, Joe Magician on YouTube, shout out to him, go find him, pointed out that Daemon out here in the courtyard in Harrenhal under a weirwood tree, he would actually be facing Isle of Faces, which is interesting. I mean, as a source of, like, potent magic, I think it would definitely affect Harrenhal being that close, right? So that's just a little taste of some of my favorite mysteries, and there are so many more. Shout out to George R.R. Martin for the intrigue. Hello. But remember, this is just in fun. I'm not saying that anything's really going on with Larys or the fucking Isle of Faces or that there's some Green Men conspiracy, but I'm also not saying there's not, okay? Let's just have fun and tell me what you think in the comments. I love you. Bye-bye. Why did I say comics?